Hi, my name is Simon of Moonstar Board Games. In this series, I like to take a high level view of some games which I really like, even love, and why you might like them too. Now, I won't be discussing in detail the rules, I'll give a high level overview, but if you're interested in how to play these games in detail, please. And I guess you've listened to what I've had to say, and you're really interested in the game. Please go and look on YouTube. There are plenty of tutorials to how to play most board games these days. So today we are going to look at a game that's near and dear to my heart, and that is Codenames. Codenames by CGE Games, Vladish Vatel. Um, if you know anything about Moonstar board games, you will know that Codenames is a massive inspiration into our board game crime scene. So I have the base game of Codenames. I have the duet version of Codenames. I have the pictures version of Codenames. I have everything in a wooden insert, which I purchased alongside a variety of esoteric expansions, such as I have a board game expansion, I have a board game designer expansion, which, for obvious reasons, I've never played. But in the game of Codenames, players will split into two teams. On either team, one player will be the spy master, the rest of the players on their team will be their team spies. You might already be recognizing some comparisons to crime scene, Moonstar Board Games crime scene. Those will only multiply. Uh, the players will then set out in a 5x5 grid a number of words. Here we have, for instance, Wonderland. And then the two spy masters will select at random a code grid which tells them, if they're the spy master who is on the red team, it will tell them which cards they need their team to guess in order to win, and conversely for the blue team, it will tell them, I have I have black ink from painting Tyranids on my hands. I am not grotty. Um, I am a little grotty right now, I guess. And then finally, we will have on the top a assassin card. And if either of the teams pick this card, then that team immediately loses. So the spy masters will be looking at the grid of words that are on the table. They'll be seeing which of those words they need their team to guess, and then they will say one word to guide them as to which cards to guess. That cannot be exactly the same as what's written on a card. There are a couple of rules. I'm not going to go into the specifics of what are the constraints as to how you give a guess, but essentially what you do is you give a guess and then a number referring to the number of cards that guess relates to. So if we take this card, Wonderland, right? We have a card Wonderland, and let's say it's one of the cards that I need my team to guess. I then need to look at the other cards. Squirrels. Nah, that's not gonna. I have to figure out a quick example. Oh no, okay, that's fine. I need to look at the other cards. So let's say two of my cards that I need my team to guess are Notre Dame, or Notre Dame, and Wonderland. Well, I can say, for instance, Disney 2. Yeah, I think that worked. Yeah, Disney 2. Yeah, Disney 2. And that tells my team that there are two cards on the board that they don't know which are the clue cards that refer to Disney, but are the cards that I want them to guess. And they might look at the cards and say, well, Notre Dame, there's the Hunchback in Notre Dame. And they might look at Wonderland and be like, well, there's Alice in Wonderland. Those are both Disney movies. Is that, are those the cards he means? There might be another card, Squirrel. Let's take another one. Spirit. Anything else that might be mistaken with Disney? Avalanche, Texas. This isn't looking good, guys. Say there's another card on the board, though, that refers to something Disney-like. I think there was Squirrel, right? The team of spies might look at Squirrel or even Frog and say, well, there's a Disney film that has Frog. Now, I don't want them to guess Frog. I want them to guess Wonderland and Notre Dame. But whilst they're going through these discussions, I can't say a word. So I have to watch as they discuss which of the cards do they think my clue correlates to, which makes for a very interesting and very tense game for the spy masters as they worry about making sure that their team does not select the card with the assassin word, thus losing them the game. But also, there's a push and pull because it's a team-based game. This other player might be very aggressive in saying a word and then like five, six, like so. How if you focus down in too much and you say for Wonderland, I could say Alice one, then yeah, they'll probably get Alice in Wonderland from that clue, but then they're not getting anything else. And so if the other team are able to get two clue cards or two of the cards from one guess, then they will be in the lead and they will win if they're able to clear out all of their cards before the opponent. So I don't really need to say too much about this game other than I love this game. It's a party game because okay, party games don't necessarily need to be a rollicking riot. A lot of people have a problem with the limited communication in this game, whereby the two spy masters in either team, can only say their word and then the number, and they can't really engage with the other players. But I actually don't find that to be a problem because the other players get to have a full conversation. It's actually in contrast to Crime Scene, in which players are not allowed to discuss their options. So I think it's a party game. In fact, the first time I ever played Codenames was at a dinner party. I think it might have been Thanksgiving, my first year or a year in Berkeley, a long, long time ago now, 10 years or more ago. No, maybe like 8 or 9. A long time ago was when I played this, and I played it at a dinner party. Is it going to be great at a bar? Probably not. Um, but at a dinner party or a family party, like people think of parties and they think of uh, what are those American teen movies? Like it was a house party and everyone's drinking and yada yada. But that's not how all parties are. That's how good parties are. Don't get me wrong, but that's not how all parties are. Some parties are quiet and they are more reserved, and they're allowing people to come together and to engage and to have a fun time with a game which is not heavy on rules, but creates a lot of conversation and a lot of social interaction between the players. I think that Codenames does a fantastic job of doing that. The pictures version, I don't like as much as the word version. I find it a little too, there's too much going on the pictures, and so it can become quite difficult for players to play. I think if you've played a lot of Codenames, you might prefer the pictures version, and I've heard people say that they prefer the pictures version, but if you're playing with people who've never played the game before, stick to words. It's much easier for them to follow. I think it's also easier for people to find correlations. Like this is one of the pictures. This is one of the pictures. Like finding a clue that ties this to something else. It gives the spies, I think, too many options. You have a hippo and an umbrella and a tightrope walking in one card. So there's too many options, I think, for people when they're first playing the game for the first time. But pictures is nice if you've played the game a lot. Duet is really, really nice. I really like the duet version of Codenames. In this game, you are working together to pick each other's clues, each other's secret words, and so you have on the back, you're working together to get rid of all of the clues that you share together, and you're trying to do it within the fewest amount of turns. Again, very similar to Crime Scene, and I make no bones about that. A lot of Codenames is elegant, and it is simple. It is fun. You have to be intellectually creative. I don't like that's the difference between Codenames and Crime Scene. As a Crime Scene, you have to be artistically creative. In Codenames, I think you're being intellectually creative. I do also think that Codenames has a meta. Now it says that you're not meant to make meta clues. It says that you're not meant to make meta clues, meaning clues that a reasonable ordinary person would not know. that only you and the person you're playing with on your team would know. I think it says something like that. Now I ignore that. I mean, that's part of the game, is making meta clues. It can become problematic if in like the next game, when your team made a mistake, right? If you're the spy master, your team made a mistake and picked the wrong card. Um, if in the next game you rely on that knowledge in order to guide them into picking a clue card that has nothing to do with what your clue is, but because you know about them making this mistake previously, I think there's been a couple of situations where that's cropped up in games that I have played, um, where you kind of have to remind the players, okay, we're sticking to words that just correlate to the words on the floor, not the things that tie us together as people. But it can become a meta game. Um, what else? I do think the assassin is quite punishing, and because it is a party game where you have multiple people on either team, it can be a kind of feels bad moment for new players if they pick the assassin card based on the spy master clue that was given, thus losing them the game. They immediately lose the game. It's mitigated somewhat in that it's kind of a team-based decision. So the spy master's sitting there like biting their nails off, hoping that they don't pick this assassin card, which is very tense and very fun. Um, but it's kind of the whole of the rest of the spy masters, the spies' responsibility to pick which clue cards they're going to select, or which word cards they're going to select. And so it's kind of a shared responsibility for losing, but it is still kind of a feels bad, I think. It does add tension, but you can decide if you're playing with very casual players who don't want that, oh my god, how did you pick that? Why would you ever pick that? That kind of charades or Pictionary kind of moment where people are like, how could you be so silly? How could you not pick this? Then you can just remove the assassin card, and I have done that before. I've just said we're not playing assassins, you're just playing to get through the cards as quickly as possible, and that kind of resolves that problem. But it's not a problem. It's just something to consider depending on the players you're playing against. If you have teams of couples, maybe you might want to avoid the assassin card exactly to stop that. How couldn't you figure that? Like, how couldn't you get this? Why didn't you understand my clue? How can't you read my mind? Kind of argument that can result from these kinds of games. But all in all, I'll just say that if you want a party game that is intellectual but still real simple in terms of rules that you can play with anyone, which isn't really appropriate for a party, but for a get together, Thanksgiving dinner, a dinner party, that kind of thing. Codenames is a great option with expansions that allow you to play this in a cooperative two-player variant with your partner, significant other, whoever, friend, whatever. It's a bit of a big game. I'm not going to talk too much longer. 13 minutes. It's a bit of a big game. It's large on the table. It's not really something I don't think you'd want to play in an airport, or certainly not on an airplane table. But it is quick. It's 15 minutes. There is an adult version as well of the game, which I have never played, which I don't really have a desire to play, to be quite honest. But there is an adult version with adult words. So yeah, as it says, number one rated party game on Board Game Geek. So sold millions and millions and millions of copies for a reason. It is a great game, and you should go check it out. Thank you.